If you have shoulder pain while you're trying to squat and you're using things like an SSB bar or Duffalo bar, here's something that might be holding you back from using a straight bar with your back squats. Okay, so before we dive in, make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things, share it with a friend. Let's get into it. So, if squats are wrecking your shoulder, one, we want to be aware, right? I've had lifters, pain shows up like on day 2. They do something that's going to piss the shoulder off. It shows up on day 2, not during the moment, not that night, the next day or the day after. It's really, really frustrating. But this is something that you need to be aware of with your body, because if you have squats and you have bench, it might seem that bench is pissing your shoulder off when in reality it's coming from your squat day. So it is very important to know that so that you can address the actual issue and not just, blame things that seem more likely to cause the issue. Shoulder pain in squat, if you know that you have it or if you're suspecting you might have it, here's something that could be going on. You have to get a pretty decent amount of external rotation in the shoulder to get under the bar, whether you're doing a high bar squat, low bar squat, or it does require having a decent amount of external rotation. So if you have to kind of like wiggle in and wiggle out of the bar to make sure that you can get the bar on and or off your back, or your wrists are super cocked, or your elbows are flared out like that, chances are there's something going on in your shoulder that we can address, that we can work on so that you can brace better, you can lift better, and not have the nagging shoulder pain. What blocks external rotation in the shoulder? If we look at one muscle, if I had to choose one muscle that is causing issues, it's the subscap. Now, the subscap sits on the inside of your shoulder blade, right? It's going through basically the armpit. We're going to say this is my right shoulder. We are trying to work on this muscle because if this muscle is tight, the job of the subscap is to internally rotate, right? So if I'm trying to flex this, I can go internally rotate, or I can go, like with a band, whatever. Its prime role is to internally rotate. So if we need external rotation, that could mean that the internal rotators are tight. Hopefully you're still with me. What we want to do is we want to hit some mobility for this. So I'll share my 3-step sequence that I like to use for lifters who have subscap tightness, if they have tightness in external rotation. So, I like to assess, not guess. So one thing we might look at is obviously your squat, right? Like, that's why we're here. But we can also go back into external rotation at 90, right? Or we can look at it from the side. If we feel limited one side compared to the other, or both sides are limited, then we can feel better about diving into the subscap. So one thing I like to do is a subscap release. It does not feel great, I'm going to be honest, but basically, essentially what you're doing, you can do this by yourself, you can do this with a lacrosse ball, you can have someone help you, but we are wanting to do what's called a subscap release or a subscap pin and stretch. So basically what we're doing is you lie on your back, okay? I'm here. I am pinning, right? Pin and stretch. I am pinning the subscap, and then I'm just going through external rotation, okay? I go through, I find all the spots, I get really deep. We're here. Then what we do after we go through that, once you find fewer spots, you're probably not going to get it all on the first go. Once you find fewer spots, or it's all you can handle, then what I like to do is open things up even more with a PVC external rotation, okay? So we worked on the muscle is looser, now let's work on that mobility. But then the key is, what can we do to help that mobility stick around so that you don't have to do it each and every time, or you don't have to do it for as long? I like to go into something like a banded external rotation because I want to strengthen in that new range of motion, right? So we open things up, we got things moving. Now it's time to strengthen the rotator cuff, the external rotators in that new position so that we can feel better. If you want something a little bit more exercise specific to a squat, you can go into 90-degree external rotation, okay? But this just allows us to open it up and then strengthen. And then I can just about guarantee you, if the subscap is causing your problems, that sequence right there can help you get back under a bar, feel better as you're going through it. There are obviously other things that you can hit, right? But the one exercise that I would do is a subscap release, but then I would follow it up with a couple other just to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck and you don't have to rely on it as a band-aid. If this helped, like, subscribe, make sure you share it with a friend. Let me know if it helps down in the comments below. Shoot me a message on Instagram. DM me the word P3 if you want to collapse the time between pain and pain-free PRs. I'll see you on the next one.